Steinway Sons has been making and restoring pianos right here in New York City since 1853. Their creations can be found in places like Carnegie Hall, Lincoln Center, and even the White House. Today we're at the Steinway factory in Astoria, Queens to find out how pianos are restored. I'm here with Bill, who's the Director of Technical Services here at Steinway. What's specific about restoring a Steinway piano as opposed to pianos from other manufacturers?
A Steinway piano is built to be rebuilt and restored. The average age of the piano we restore here is about 75 years old. And that's the average. We have them here as old as 120 and 130 years old. And quite frankly, when we're done, they go back out into service. You know, they don't go back out to a museum or, behind a velvet rope. They go out and they get played on.
What do you generally have to work on when a piano comes in?
Generally, it's what we call a complete restoration. We put in what we call a soundboard. That's basically the heart and soul of a piano. It's what gives it its volume, it's what gives it its sound. We'll literally replace complete actions, what are called pin blocks or rest planks. That's when the tuner comes to tune your piano and he turns the tuning pins. That's what holds those in place. The cast iron harp gets stripped down and re-bronzed and refitted with all new hardware. Again, the finish is stripped off and completely refinished and hand rubbed and polished. When it's done, if you stood that next to a brand new Steinway, we hope you can't even tell the difference.
If someone, say, inherited a Steinway piano from their grandmother, how could you personalize it so it fits them better?
We kind of ask them, what do you remember about the piano? Was it, this booming big sound? Was it a nice mellow kind of sound that you were happy with? What was the color of the piano? Because sometimes they're wood colors and it does change over time. And then when we're done, we invite them in and they sit down with a technician and they will go over what we call voicing. They'll sit down at the piano, play it and say, I remember it as being a little bit lighter. So we'll go back and we'll lighten up that action for them. And I remember it as being more bright or more mellow. And we'll sit down and I'll tell you what, let's work on a little section here. Is that something you like? Yes. And then we'll expand that out to the rest of the piano. By the time it's all over, they're happy with the result.
What are some of the difficulties that you run into when restoring?
Probably the two most problematic things are water damage and insect damage. We actually had a piano come in one time that was infested with termites. And that one, we pushed it out in the yard, called the person back and said, come and take the piano. Last thing you want in a piano factory is termites. Walking
around the factory, you really get the sense that it's a very human process. There's a lot of sort of bending and a lot of manpower going on. How is that a factor in restoration?
Restoration, for all intents and purposes, is all manual. We replace rather than repair. So if a part is broken, we will replace it with a new part that works better than the repaired old one. The most important reason for having your Steinway piano restored here is that when it's done, it will be 100% still a Steinway piano. When you send it to somebody else, it is their impression of what a Steinway piano is. A lot of what we do is proprietary, so they don't know how our soundboards are constructed. We don't sell them to anybody, ever. So without the soundboard, without that knowledge, without, quite frankly, a lot of the technology we have, you cannot say that that's truly a Steinway. If you're going to rebuild that piano and you're going to put it out for sale, take Steinway Sons off it and put your name on it, because now it's really your piano. It's what you've put into it. You want it to be a Steinway piano, you bring it to Steinway and we make it a Steinway.
To find out more about Steinway pianos, visit steinway.com. I'm Morton and you've been watching Rocketboom.